Hey fellas, this is Dr. Varun Gandhi, and you're listening to me on the Power Punch Club podcast. This is a podcast strictly for university students, specifically students in Asia and Africa who are applying to the top universities all around the world, especially in countries like America, Canada, England, Germany, Netherlands, Australia, New Zealand. This podcast will cover topics related to your application, specifically your resume, your statement of purpose, your letter of recommendations. We'll talk about profiles of universities and various different degrees, talk about job profiles, we'll talk about hot careers and industries. We will also interview students who are attending the very same universities that you are applying to here in America. I'll interview them, I'll find out more about that university and what it feels like to be here at that university and what are the prospects, job prospects especially, because I know you guys are really interested in jobs, right? That's the reason you're here. Today's topic is the PhD application. Specifically, the question that I am answering is, how do I choose what universities to apply for when I'm applying for a PhD program? First and foremost, I want to point out that I'm fully qualified to answer this question because I have a PhD from Georgia Tech in environmental engineering, so I know what it takes to get one. I know what it takes to apply to a top-notch program for a PhD. And I broke it down into a four-step process. This four-step process has been applied to numerous people in different fields, so I know it works. It's repeatable. Okay, so that's my background, and here are the four steps. The first step is to understand what your interests are. What I mean by that is you need to start with yourself. You need to gain a better understanding of what do you like, what kind of research, what kind of solution, what kind of problem do you want to solve, what kind of solution do you want to come up with, what do you want to create, right? So now you might be in two different categories. One is you have some research experience prior, and the other one is you don't have any research experience. So if you're in the research experience, then you know, at least you have an indication of what direction you want to go in. So now you know which professors to target, right? So you know a research topic, a research field, a department at least. So you've narrowed it down to a degree. So in computer science, there's there's a vast range of departments or subcommittees, subcategories within computer science. Now, which one do you want to get into? So you go further deeper into that umbrella and deeper and deeper and deeper into subcategories and subcategories until you finally realize that this is the place you want to be. And it might be something so small, but it's so meaningful to you because you have research experience and you know what you want to do because you're passionate about it. So that's the easy one. The no research experience people. Now, for you guys, what you have to do is go through a lot of research papers. So read material, read news, find out what's the latest in particular fields that call for you. You know, if you're reading a lot about Elon Musk and all his projects that he's working on, damn, and that guy's amazing. So if you're reading about him, now you know you're interested in one of those categories, in something either in aviation or maybe in his entrepreneurship skills. So at least you know you want to be an entrepreneur, so now you can focus in that direction. Or maybe his, SpaceX, his aviation skills, or maybe his solar, so like environmental engineering. So find avenues of things that interest you. And once you have that, now you can go deeper into it and gain a better understanding of which subcategory within that field do you want to tackle? What problem do you want to solve? So step two, now that you've come up with a list of research interests, or at least a research interest, now create a list of professors, at least 10 professors. And the professor should fall under these four categories. Damn, I love the number four. I don't know why. Okay. They should fall under these four categories. One, again, the research topics are in line with yours, right? So the professor's research topics are in line with yours. The second one, professor whose research you will have interest in for at least 4 years. Maybe it's hard to gauge this. Think about it in terms of if you're going to love this field for the rest of your life, because you're going to be in this. You're going to be deep in this field, most likely for the rest of your lives. Okay, so that's two. Three, once you get to talk, once you start talking to them, and we're going into that, that's the next step actually as well. But you got to find someone who has funding. And then the fourth step is you got to find out how that person is. How does he treat his research group? Right? Do they have any complaints about this professor and how he abuses their time and abuses, the cheap labor? You don't want to be that donkey sitting in the lab at midnight every day for 4, 5, 6 years of your life, and then even then you don't get a PhD and you're forced to drop out. You've given him 5, 6, 7 papers, you've given him 7 years of your life, and even then he doesn't want to graduate you. That's not a position you want to be in. The next step, now you got to start from 10 professors, you got to narrow it down to 5 to 7 professors. And how you're going to do that is you're going to do it based on the last two, the last two criteria that I just told you, the 2 out of 4, last 2 out of the 4. You got to find out if they have funding. So start communicating with with these professors, the 10 professor list that you came up with. Start communicating with each one of them. Ask them about their opportunities, but in the first email, you're going to reach out to them or call. Preferably call would be better, because then they would, if it's during their office hours or during time that they're in the office, they're going to pick up. Maybe they'll let it go to voicemail, but at least they'll listen to your voicemail. Emails, they might not even read it past the subject. So at least let them listen to you, hear you out. If you can't do that, send them an email. The first email will be a quick introduction of you, but you're offering the professor a suggestion, maybe a research idea that you are interested in working with, because you've read this professor's work in so much detail that now you've come up with your own idea. Maybe you could offer some kind of research twist. Have you tried doing something along these lines? You take a paper and maybe put a twist to it and ask, have you tried doing something along these lines? What would the outcome be? And tell them you're interested in this kind of research. So if they respond to you, that means they're interested in you, for one. Let's get that out of the way. They respond to you, that means they're interested in you. Now all you have to find out is if they have funding. So you could talk to them about, what is the situation in your lab. The second, once they respond to you in the second email, ask them about what their position is in their lab. What is the situation of funding within their lab? Do they have any projects upcoming in this field? Or suggest that you would like to write a research proposal with this professor. Let's see how they respond to that. If they say that they're willing to commit to you and write a research proposal with you, and they're putting in their time as well, now you know that they are committed to you. Finally, the last step, the fourth step, is once you understand that they have funding, maybe they don't have funding, maybe you could still pursue it, maybe you don't want to pursue it. But once you know the position of their funding, now you can talk to their students. Because once you get in, now you have to make a decision. And if you already talked to their students ahead of time, maybe they won't respond to you right away, but some point they will. Maybe one person, 1 out of the 10 will respond to you. But at least you have a response and you have either an affirmation or a warning. So reach out to them. The information might not be handy right now. And if you do get in the future, that's when it'll come in handy. So a couple tips on this. I would definitely start out 6 to 8 months in advance. I know right now it's a deadline time. I know in deadline season it's kind of hard, but at least you could come up with a list of 5 to 7 professors based on some of the research that I told you to do. You don't have to reach out to the professor. That's the minimum you could do, is do the research, get a list of 5 to 7 professors based on your research, and that's completely okay. Maybe you're in the dark about their funding situation, if they would actually even take it. But if you do the research, you'll be much happier in the future, because a PhD is a commitment of at least 4 to 6 years to one particular idea, one particular professor, one particular research group. Yes, you can definitely get into one program at the beginning and then decide within that university or within that same degree program itself you want to go to a different professor. You could transfer, talk to that professor, and you could transfer, and that's completely okay. But at least start out somewhere. and have some direction so you can get into it. You're not obligated to that person if that funding does not go through, but at least you were able to use that to come here to get started in a PhD program. So now you can find a different mentor. Thank you guys for listening to this episode. You could find us on our website at powerpunchclub.com. You could download these episodes on our podcast page at powerpunchclub.com/podcast. You will definitely soon find us on iTunes. We're coming out. You can find us on our Quora page or Facebook page. Just type in Power Punch Club, search, and you'll find us there.